Okay, so clip the old microphone onto my chest and let's get rolling. This was the very last since I test driven all the Fuji X series lenses. The last of all of them was the 16 millimeter, which turned out to be the most stunning. But I tested this one about 2.5 months ago. It was 18 to 135, and I knew that of the one additional Fuji lens that I wanted to grab, since I had coverage on this focal between 18 to 55 and 55 to 200. This is basically at 18 to 135. You have a coverage FX equivalent of 28 millimeters to 200 millimeters. This was the one last lens that I wanted to acquire, but not at its current price of $900. So while I cannot say that the 18 to 135 is a must-own Fuji lens, it does come kind of close, and I knew that when I test drove it, but I did not want to pay the full price, including the price for one when it was, I think it was $150 off, which ended in the end of December. But there it is extended. It is 16 elements and 12 groups, 7-bladed rounded aperture. I like the 27 millimeter prime pancake, which is also made in China. This lens is made in China. However, as is the case, the failings of Nikon and Canon and others in super zooms like this, 18 to 135 does qualify as a super zoom. I mean, it qualifies from 27 millimeters to basically equivalent of 200 millimeters. Most lenses are soft on the near and the far end, and they don't always exactly, like the 28 to 300 Nikkor, don't really reach to 300. It's really like a 280 millimeter. This lens is not like that, so I knew I wanted this lens if I find one cheap enough. I did find one for $475 on this lens, so I finally got one. I said current new price is $900, which I was not going to pay. I already had coverage for it, but it is an exquisite lens, and as a mid-range, well, it's not a mid-range like the 18 to 55. I mean, it's a super zoom between 18 to 135 that I did want to acquire this. I have found a few at like $500 and $520 on eBay. This one was just minty, and I knew I actually had a warranty. I bought it from a place out in California, so I did acquire it really cheaply and basically as new condition. It does have a bi-wire aperture, and it's optical image stabilization, and it is an exquisite lens. Exact weight on this is 490 grams, or 1 pound. Aperture, of course, 3.5 to 5.6. So this was the last acquisition that I wanted to acquire. It is not a must-have Fuji lens, and like I said, I got coverage between 18 to 55 and 55 to 200, but it is an exquisite lens. And I did want a super zoom. Super zooms usually fall into the crappy category. Like 200 to 500 millimeter lenses and like 28 to 300, they have issues in the near and far end, and of course, they zoom out so far, they're kind of phallic, and of course, lenses that actually extend out that far, they've always got optical issues. However, Fuji did an excellent job on this, even more so still since this is actually a Chinese manufacturer, unlike the rest of Fuji's lenses except for the 27 millimeter, which is also Chinese manufacturer. Unlike the other Fujis, which are Japanese and all exquisite, this has the same fit, finish, and quality production, at least superficially so, and from use and testing it before and finally acquiring one. Until Fuji rolls out something new, and I've seen their new super telephoto lens, which is basically going to look like sitting in the elephant on the top of this Fuji XD1. I'm not very interested in any of other Fuji's offerings except for maybe their telephoto macro lens, which they're working on for later this year. But anyway, borderline must-have Fuji lens, but I did want it, and I found a cheap one, and I wanted to point that out, that it is an excellent lens. And everybody, like I said in the prior video, everybody keeps asking me about the 90 millimeter Fuji, why I didn't buy it, why I didn't include it. I tested it, and it had no outstanding attributes or qualities, and additionally so, at equivalent of basically 135 millimeter. The fact that A, it did not have any outstanding characteristics or attributes, the 90 millimeter Fuji X-mount lens, and additionally the fact that the 135 millimeter, and the southern saying, we call it useless as tits on a bull. Useless as a television set to a blind man. The 85 millimeter equivalent, i.e. Fuji's 56 millimeter, is far, far, far more useful. The same reason why there are a bazillion 85 millimeter FX lenses compared to 135 millimeter, which is also a portraiture lens, is the same reason why the 90 millimeter Fuji, which is 135 millimeter equivalent, is not really. It's kind of like a fifth wheel. It's But, you know, I would have bought it if it was outstanding. I mean, money wasn't an issue, so, I mean, why didn't I grab it? You know, being objective, I found absolutely no need for it whatsoever. I mean, is it a nice prime lens? It is, but it's not, doesn't even qualify as very good, and it does not qualify as great. And yeah, I found it to be a fifth wheel lens that was not impressive, and an unimpressive focal length that is generally not that damn useful. So that's the answer to the question on the 90mm Fuji. Nothing against Fuji, but you know, that's the way it is. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will catch you later. Okay.